and action. Last time you guys ended, you were inferring from the quote that Roz said. She said, "Tonight will be moonless, but it will not be dark, I promise." So knowing what we know about Roz, we are thinking, what are our clues as to how the night will not be dark? Well, we know she makes pretty amazing fires, so I'm thinking it's going to have something to do with fire. I want to let you know that as we read these next few chapters, things will kind of be fun with the celebration, and then they get a little darker. So things are going to start happening on the island that aren't as happy. So I want to enlighten you with a little dance. It's still going to be fun, though. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Chapter 66, the celebration. My dogs are looking at me like I'm crazy, but you guys already know that. Okay, the celebration. Dawn turned to day. Day turned to dusk. And just as Roz had asked, animals were gathering again in the great meadow. Word had spread across the island that the robot was throwing a party, and everyone wanted to see what the fuss was about. The fuss seemed to be about a giant stack of wood. Roz had spent a day collecting logs and branches and stacking them in a perfect, massive tower. The animals crowded around it, trying to imagine its purpose. And then they saw a golden light flickering in the distance. Roz emerged from the dark forest. In her hand was a flaming stick, which she held up like a torch. She was camouflaged in thick mud and clusters of wild flowers. But her camouflage wasn't for hiding. It was her party dress. The animals watched as the robot glided across the meadow surrounded by a warm glow. "Thank you all for being here," she said as she joined the crowd. "1 year ago, I woke on the shore of this island. I was just a machine. I functioned. But you, my friends, my family, you have taught me how to live. And so I thank you." "You have also taught me to be wild," said the robot. "So let us celebrate life and wildness together." At those words, Roz heaved her torch high in the air. It soared up, 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 and landed on the very top of the wooden tower. A ball of fire burst toward the night sky, and suddenly the meadow was bathed in firelight. Hundreds of shining eyes watched as bright flames crept down the sides of the tower and embers floated away on the breeze. The animals stepped toward the bonfire, eager to feel its warmth, and then stepped back, afraid of feeling too much, too soon. The deer started leaping, the foxes started trotting, the snakes slithered and the insects buzzed, and the fish jumped up from the river. Bright Bill led all the birds into the air, where they wheeled around the bonfire like a tornado of feathers. Roz sprang into a wild dance, her shaggy dress shaking and swishing with each move. It was a wild party, and it took our robot to make it happen. Roz and the animals partied all night long. They were so busy singing and laughing and dancing that they didn't see the cargo ship as it sliced past the island. But the ship saw them. It saw the towering bonfire. It saw the robot. And then it quietly continued through the darkness. So, my friends, I wrote down this really important big word, foreshadowing. It's a really big concept, but I'm going to teach it to you anyway because you can handle it. So foreshadowing is when the author lightly sprinkles some stuff in that tells us what might be happening. So we know that they're all having a good time, not paying attention to this cargo ship rolling in. So I'm wondering what's going on with that cargo ship and will it come into play later? We'll see. Chapter 67, the sunrise. By dawn, the bonfire had dwindled to a smoldering hill of ash. Everyone else had gone home, and only Roz and Brightbill remained in the meadow. They lay in the grass together, watching the soft morning light creep up from the horizon. And then Roz said, "Let's go for a walk." The robot and the goose hiked and flew to their favorite spot on the grassy ridge. But then they kept going. They followed the ridge to the mountain and climbed all the way up to the craggy peak just in time to see the sunrise. "I climbed up here once before," said Roz, as the sun's first rays warmed her body. "I sat on this very rock and looked out at the island and thought I would always be alone. But I was wrong." Are you happy, Ma? The robot thought for a moment. I am. I'm happy too. Bright Bill closed his eyes and felt the wind and sun. There was a still chill in the air that made him feel alive. Everything seemed just right. There's that foreshadowing again. And then he heard a distant buzzing sound. The goose squinted to the south and saw a familiar shape in the sky. He turned to his mother and said, Ma, there's an airship flying this way. So I want y'all to think, what's going on? There's the cargo ship coming that they didn't see during the party, and now there's the airship coming. Where has Bright Bill seen these things before? What's going on? Chapter 68, The RECOs, R-E-C-O-S, RECOs. The airship approached from the south like some giant migratory bird. The ship was a sleek white triangle with a single dark window facing forward. 3 identical robots stared out the window. The robots resembled Roz, but they were bigger and bulkier and shinier. The word RECO was lightly etched on each of their torsos, followed by their individual unit number. RECO 1, RECO 2, and RECO 3. The RECOs flew in a low circle around the island. They saw a smoking hill of ash and mysterious wooden domes. They saw 4 dead robots scattered across the shore. The airship hovered above the robot gravesite for a moment. Then it floated up over the island and lowered itself onto a small meadow at the foot of the mountain. The engines blasted air toward the ground, bending trees and tearing grass. Then the landing gear sank in the soil. The engines powered down, and it was quiet. A door hummed open, and out stepped the RECOs. They took long strides into the meadow and stopped. A shadowy figure was lurking at the forest edge. The RECOs turned to face it, and then the shadowy figure began to move. The creature spoke. Hello, my name is Roz. You can see these big boys, much larger than Roz. Chapter 69, last one for today. The defective robot. Defective means it doesn't work properly. Hello, ROSM Unit 7134. We are the RECOs, and we are here to retrieve all ROSM units. The cold, flat voice came from RECO 1. He and his partners stood absolutely still and kept their glowing eyes on their target. There are 4 others, said Roz, but they're gone. We've already located the remains of the other units, said RECO 1. We will collect them later. Now you, come with us. The 3 RECOs motioned Roz to the airship, but she didn't move. Where have you come from, she said. The RECOs turned and stared. Do not ask questions, said RECO 1. Where will you take me? Do not ask questions. Why must I leave? Do not ask questions. I will not go anywhere until I get some answers. There was a brief silence as RECO 1 computed his next move, and then he began to speak. 1 year ago, a cargo ship carrying 500 ROSM units was sunk by a hurricane. 495 units have been found from the ocean floor. We have come here in search for the last 5, and we've located them. ROSM Unit 7134, you are property of Tech Lab Industries. We will return you to the factory where the makers will fix you and sell you to a work site. You will then live on that work site forever. Now come with us. But I live here, said Roz. That is incorrect, ROSM Unit 7134. Any further resistance will be proof of defectiveness, and we would have to deactivate you. But Roz had more questions. Who are the makers? What is my purpose? Why can I not ask questions? The unit is defective, said RECO 1. Commenced deactivation. In perfect unison, the RECOs stepped toward Roz. They raised their blocky hands, ready to restrain their target, and shut her down with the press of a button. But a loud squawk and streak of feathers cut them off. Stay away from my mama! Bright Bill swooped in the meadow and started hopping around, ready to defend. The RECOs stopped and looked down at the goose. Of course they didn't understand his words. They only heard his meaningless squawks. and then they heard their target squawking back to him. "Brightbill, get out of here," said Roz in the language of animals. "These robots are dangerous." "What do they want?" "They want to take me away." The RECOs stared at their target, trying to understand why she was exchanging noises with the goose. And then new noises began to rise up, rustlings and shrieks and echoes from the forest. The animals were gathering. "Roz needs our help. Those robots want to take her away. We must do something." The uproar from the forest grew louder and louder. The RECOs peered past Roz toward the mysterious noises, but only saw foliage. Suddenly, the shadows swept across the meadow, and Brightbill's flock dove onto the RECOs. The geese furiously flapped and pecked and wrapped their wings around the robot faces, clinging to the RECOs like feathery masks, distracting them, blinding them. Brightbill turned to his mother. "Run, Mama!" Dun, dun, dun. Gonna stop right there. My question for you is to make a prediction. Will Roz get away, or will the RECOs still capture her? Be prepared to explain why. Do you think what you think? Do you think she's getting away? Or do you think they will find her? Make your prediction, back it up with why you think that, and we'll see you next time.